Hey, everybody, welcome to Wednesday Reflection. This is Andrew. I'm coming to you back from our diocesan annual council this past weekend in Natchez. I'm going to give you a few of my brief highlights and then get into what we discussed at council and other thoughts as well. So, Kelly Perkins, James Minter went down. Emily Rossi had to stay back in Brookhaven because she was ill. But the three of us went down and represented Brookhaven wonderfully, and the Old River Convocation wonderfully. Our sister city in the Old River Convocation, Natchez, was our host, and so that was wonderful. And they did a wonderful job. The It was good to be back is my first thought. It was good to be back. There was lots of great excitement and conversation in the room. People flighting from one table to another to catch up with people. And even when we would get exhausted, people like the Reverend Andy Andrews, missioner for creating beloved community and church vitality, gave an amazing speech, talk, and led us in an amazing panel discussion. Also, the Reverend Walton Jones came in with amazing energy to talk about camp, but also the standing committee and the tightening up of the structure and organization of how church committees are formed, so that people who are involved are more that the people who need to be in places to get the things done are the ones who are getting things done and are reporting back up and down the line. And it's such a more, I would say, obvious and refreshing way to think about how different people who are involved in getting things done around the diocese are working together to make that happen and to make things transparent up and down the chain. All right. So that was one of my first takeaways. One of my next takeaways was that it was interesting to see a council whose theme was telling the truth, proclaiming the dream, to bringing some kingdom of God in the world, especially amidst our recognition of the troubled history that America, the South, Mississippi, the Episcopal Church has had, and taking the time to name and not sweep under the rug church ties to slave owning or the people involved in that. Complicity in human trafficking and things like that. The fact that a lot of our older buildings were built on the backs of enslaved peoples. And that was important because we were meeting in Natchez, which was the largest, I think, slave auction outside of New Orleans, if I remember correctly. Also, our party that we celebrated, the Saturday night festivities were held at Dunilith, which has a troubled history as far as being a plantation home. But what was beautiful about that was that all of that was named and recognized, and that naming a truth in history doesn't make it go away, and that is good and bad. That you can name that these places have history, but then also be a part of the present day of that place or town or state or institution or whatever it might be. One thing is not the entire history of something. And the bishop, and so that gets to my next point. The bishop's address on Friday night was an amazing way of recognizing, not only the native peoples that inhabited the land that we were standing in, but also the hard history of Mississippi, and that you can speak truth and name truth and seek justice and and carry out justice and equity in powerful and God-filled ways. So his comments on Friday night were really good, and then he really spoke to it even better, and really challenging the church to have a more honest telling of history, and a more receptive, open heart to the hurt that those conversations bring up in us today, as a part of his Sunday sermon when he spoke on and preached on Micah. It was a great sermon, full of his own personal feelings about transition and in between space, especially with his wife Kyle being in her new cure at in California, and so his loss being separated geographically from his wife, and so anyway, there's that. What else? Now, anyway, personally, I was honored because I was elected the diocesan clergy trustee for the University of the South, Swanee. So, yeah, Swanee's right. But I think really more importantly is some of the things that council discussed. I will say I don't remember all of the elections that were had. I didn't write down all of representatives. So if you were someone who was elected to a diocesan committee or individual position, I am sorry that I'm not recognizing you here. I didn't write it down, and if I remember someone and don't remember the next five people, then I would be doing those five people a disservice because I only remembered the outcomes of a few things. Also, so here we go. So I'm going to show you the Diocesan Council packet, which was our online version of what we received at Council. This is the Mississippi Episcopalian Council edition. You received these in the mail. And this was the greetings from Ken Ritter, the rector of Trinity Natchez. Our agenda, treasurer. So Melissa Calcott was reelected. Executive committee. I think Chris Robinson was elected. I guess Paul Cartwright was. I'm not entirely sure. Executive committee. I do not recall the outcomes of these. I believe that these two, I believe Abram Jones got the 2-year term. Elizabeth Wheatley Jones, no relation, got the 4-year term. I think Jackson Garner got the lay position. Not sure. Barbara Hammer did get the standing committee. Margaret McClarty did not. I do not recall who got the other positions. Sorry. Do not recall. Disciplinary board. It was Very Reverend Brant Dick and Marie Smith won that position. I lost that one, but that is okay with me. Trustee for the trustee of the University of the South. I got that one. So well run race. Bruce McMillan and Kyle Bennett. Also, prayers to Kyle Bennett, recovering from surgery. Love you, brother. I do not remember the general convention slate was real big, and I don't remember who all won it. So I will wait for them to announce that. But anyway, those are these people. All right, here we go. Proposed revisions to the constitutions and canons. Basically, this first one, Canon 2, college chaplaincies were given delegates several years ago. The problem is in the language, they never gave them an alternate. and so every other position that has a voice in voting, council has the opportunity for delegates and alternates. And the alternate position was just not given in the chaplaincy department. So anyway, so we fixed that by giving chaplaincy delegations alternates. The election of a bishop, Article 13. This changed the need for voting, or the criteria for voting, basically because it was, the long and short of it was, you had to have, a certain percentage of the clergy of the diocese. The problem is that if you have a bunch of clergy who are retired and have moved away to Arizona or, Alaska or any other place, that haven't lived in Mississippi for 15 years, but they're still canonically resident in Mississippi as far as like their official letter, or not letter, but their official clergy license is in this state. Calling them back for an election for a bishop is kind of hard, and sometimes they just won't come. They're like, I'm retired. I'm not flying back to Mississippi just to vote a bishop. So what it does is it helps us basically drag people back to Mississippi after they're retired and gone by a majority vote of those present and voting, not just those who are still on the books. All right. Canon. So we did approve that, and that was a good one. That was a smart move. Canon 15 basically changes the Duncan M. Gray Camp and Conference Center to just the Duncan M. Gray Center. Backstory for those who don't know: Camp Bratton Green is a ministry of Duncan M. Gray Center. The Conference Center was a ministry of the Duncan M. Gray Center. The Duncan M. Gray Center, or Gray Center, is the umbrella organization that is what we think of as the properties north and south of Way Road in Canton. So it removes the anachronistic language because the Conference Center is not operating. It also since there isn't a board of managers, it gets rid of the requirements for operations to run as such. So it's basically cleaning house from outdated legislation that doesn't meet the current reality. And we passed that, and it was fine. Canon 22, parish meetings. Okay, this one is a good one. This one actually, and this one kind of applies to us. I'll keep it up here so you can read it if you want. There was a old canon on the books that said basically you have to at least have 20 people present to make a quorum for an annual meeting in a church. Now, for some of those real small churches out there and parishes and missions, that was a struggle. And so it wasn't just a given that, that 20 was going to be, however much percent of the congregation. And so what it does is it got rid of the antiquated 20-person minimum rule, and that way the bylaws of that parish or mission or church could speak to, like, the realities of their numbers. And so basically it's giving churches the freedom to make their own bylaws that don't conflict with the constitutions and canons of Mississippi. Anyway, that one was approved quickly and easily. Okay. And this is just updated information. Reports to council. You can read these at your own leisure. But they're on the. Uh, if you go to the annual council, go to the uh, council packet, which is under logistics and events. Council packet brings you to this page. Then there were some added resolutions that were added after the printing of these were accepted from the floor. Basically resolved that we think that we agree that Russia should not have invaded Ukraine, and that we should support the ongoing crisis response in Ukraine, and we approved that. What else proposed? Canonical and amendments. Oh, okay. This is pretty much what we already covered. Nominations addendum. These were other people who ran for things that weren't included in the printing of the Mississippi Episcopalian. Again, I don't remember all the outcomes, so I can't speak to those. And then consent resolutions. These were resolutions that were consented to as a bundle. Basically, and these are things you kind of have to do, for housekeeping. That we have read the amendments as proposed by the 80th General Convention this past summer in Baltimore. And so we have read them, and we will send back to General Convention that we have read them and are considering them for their second reading. The church school missionary offering will be given to the Diocese of Panama for their school missionary offering. The acts of trustees of the diocese resolve that trustees of the diocese maybe are ratified and confirmed. Yeah, these are official things we have to approve of for for doing of things, and also that the offering at Eucharist at annual council will support Teach Them to Fish micro industries. And then the final one that we will read a list of the members of the Diocese of Mississippi who have been past and former delegates at an necrology at the service on Sunday. And that is, that's something we do every year, and it's always kind of it's a friendly resolution or friendly thing that we just pass because we always do it. It's tradition. But I will say, back to this Teach Them to Fish. Teach Them to Fish is a couple from Mississippi moved to Honduras. Panama, Honduras. And basically they work with locals to help them start their own businesses, whether it's at-home agriculture or maybe to start their own way of living, so that they can. And so it's teach them to fish micro industries. They basically do micro, micro loans or micro investments in local individuals so they can start their trade or their business or what they're doing. The work they do is amazing. The schools they built are amazing, and it's just this passionate couple that just gets to work and is doing it. They spoke very well in their presentation at council. I can't recall all the details, but I could not be more happy that the diocese gave this offering to their ministry. It is truly, literally couldn't be it's one of the most gospel things you could do. So proud for their work, and or not proud. I'm not even a part of their work. I'm so happy that they are doing it. I'm so proud that there are people out there in the world that are doing great gospel stuff like this. Could not be more pleased. All right, and then there's the budget. If you want to look at that, I don't really feel the need to. Oh, what's the Swanee University? Let's see what this one is. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yep. All right. Well, this is fun to know. Cool. All right. Um, well, anyway, I'm I read that. That's great. um, I'm going to be one of these new trustees. I'm taking David Elliott's spot. So thank you for your. Oh wait, you're not seeing this. There you go. I'm taking David Elliott's spot right there. Um, anyway, that's really all I got for council. That's my wrap up. But if you have any questions about what we discussed or what we are doing in the future, or council next year is going to be in Jackson. Very excited about that. Anyway, let me know. Let me see what you got. So call me, text me, email me. Yeah, it was a great council, and so I hope that sparks some conversation amongst you and those close to you. And I'm glad to see you on this upcoming Sunday. And as always, dear ones, God bless.